If you've ever said, why does this keep happening to me? You are likely in a loop. And that is your soul's way of delivering catalyst for your growth. Today we are continuing our series of the 9 levels of consciousness. And today we are in level 6, the individual automatic mind. And this is where your personal soul curriculum designed to activate healing and growth is happening. And again, we talked about in level 5 that's kind of the rules of the game, and that's the collective automatic mind. So that kind of creates the barrier between the things that we can actually have impact on from our physical experience and the things that happened and are there but that we can't particularly influence. And in level 4 we talked about the template reality, which is our soul's map. That's kind of like the why behind the journey. So again, if you think of it from that perspective, level 6, the individual automatic mind, is like your character's storyline. So this is the path that you are walking, basically. And of course, I love a good diagram. So of course I have a diagram of this. And so this is where things start to get really interesting, because this is part of what you can tap into when you're doing shadow work. Now, I'm introducing them in order, so technically the shadow work would be working the opposite direction. So bear with me here. But basically, when I do shadow work, I start with the emotion, I move to the belief, so that's going to be the subconscious, the unconscious, and then I go to the pattern or loop that is happening as a result of that belief. And that happens in the individual automatic mind. And again, with shadow work, how do you dispel a shadow? You bring light. So sometimes just seeing, oh my gosh, that is the loop that's happening, literally disempowers it, and so the loop doesn't need to continue because you basically have passed that level. Okay, or sometimes there's iterations of it, sometimes there's multiple versions of it, but each time you get more clarity, you can not have to repeat part of the catalyst, because again, the catalyst is the reason that we're here. We are here for our soul's growth and healing. And so we are always being given those experiences. This is the reason that we embrace Catalyst, which that I've talked about, and that's connected to intentional living. Step number 3, assume positive intent, because you're assuming that things are happening for you, not to you. Why are these things happening? Because they are part of your soul's journey. So they are in your template reality. They are part of your individual automatic mind, right? So they're happening because they're in the levels of consciousness that has been wired for your specific path. This is for your good. And again, with the individual automatic mind, we are not yet in the physical mind. We are still in kind of physical energy, right? So we're not actually here yet. We're just sort of here in the sense of like with the physical energy. Hopefully that makes sense. The thing that's really interesting about this that I think that we need to note is essentially sometimes the patterns can be really frustrating, because we're like, why the hell am I going through this again? I thought I dealt with this the last time. And again, if we are thinking about it from an assuming positive intent standpoint, we have to realize that it is happening for us, not to us. Because the more that we resist the journey that we're on, the less likely we're learning the lessons, and the more likely we'll repeat it again. So as frustrating as it may be, it still is in our best interest to try to embrace that catalyst. And again, this comes back to the elevated thought model, which you have heard me talk about before. And again, in the unhindered state, you are in a love-based energy where you are expanded. You trust that source is leading you. You are in the flow. You are in love. You are operating in power. You are not operating from a place of force. Force happens down in the constricted level. That's going to be where you're operating from a fear-based, separation-based mentality, okay? And again, like, I understand why that happens, because again, we are in this experience of seeming individuality, right? So we feel separate. So because we feel separate, that sense of separation can sometimes feel really deep. And when it does, then that can create more of the fear because we don't feel connected and in love, which we would if we were at the top of the elevated thought model. But we need to work through those emotions so that we can move back to that expanded state, because that is where we are going to be in the best path for ourselves. And again, it's not that you can stay in that expanded state all the time. There's always going to be catalyst that's coming up and it's going to trigger you, and that's okay. That's part of the journey. The whole point is, what do you do when you get triggered, right? How are you walking through that? How are you processing that moment? Are you meeting it with resistance? Are you meeting it with resentment, right? That is not going to get you the win that you want. What's going to get you the win that you want is when you're like, okay, here we go. Hey, look at this. I am triggered. Why am I triggered? And you look at it from a place of curiosity, not judgment, and you are able to follow that information back to find out what the root is so that you can bring light and love to it to begin to dismantle and disempower those beliefs and things that are causing you to stumble, or whatever the catalyst is that you're trying to overcome. It helps to bring light, and then you are able to come from a softened place of love and to be able to move through it. And again, that's when we can embrace that catalyst and see it as something that's happening for us, not to us. So hopefully that helps somebody. Next, we're going to be moving into the physical mind aspect. So we have 3 more levels left, and I look forward to sharing those with you.